that he was uncommonly active in the first period. Reggie was a floater, a glider. Reggie did things economically. Reggie wasn't a frenetic run around, like he's shutting all the windows in a thunderstorm kind of player. He was the opposite. That first period, he was uncommonly active, and it spooked me.
NBA History Channel is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hi again, everybody. It's Bob, Ryan, and Gary Tangway, and you are listening to the Ryan and Tangway podcast as we break down Celtic City. We are a proud member of the CLNS Media Network. The show is brought to you by Prize Picks, North America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download today and use code CLNS to get $50 when you play 5. Prize Picks. Run your game. Okay, Bob. We had a week off. We're going to play catch-up. We are at the depressing time of Celtic City when we start to see Larry Bird break down and we get into Rick Pitino. And so let her rip, kid. What do you think?
Well, this is a tough one. Because if you live through, as we lived through it, and lived through the Reggie Lewis saga, bringing back those memories this is a tough one to watch if you live through it. It starts off the episode D. Brown that Wellesley incident when D. Brown was mistaken. The rookie was mistaken for a bank robber because they thought he fit the description. And of course, it turned out the only description, there were two men of color, but not remotely comparable in appearance. What I take away from this with my admiration for D. Brown, which was always strong, grows when you hear him and you are reminded that his reaction was not to go off the deep end and want to get traded and leave Boston and leave. He settled in Wellesley and spent his time in Boston living in Wellesley, the town in which this atrocity happened. It tells you a lot about him, I think. And so you come away extremely impressed with D. Brown, the person, and not to mention the basketball, but D. Brown and the person. So it starts off with there, and then we segue into the whole Reggie Lewis incident, and the how good he was. We start off, of course, he was the bridge guy that was going to keep them very relevant during that period of time. There's no question about that. He was to become an all-star level player. And I remember I did a column once about how what Larry did, as you recall, after games, there was a big table in the middle of their locker room. And Larry would come out and sit on the table, and we'd gather around, semicircle, and interview him. And that was the star table, if you will. Well, I remember Reggie had a big game, and he got the table. And we wrote about Reggie has risen to the status of being able to command the table, So I do remember that with Reggie. But as far as the collapse, it did happen right in front of me. I was sitting behind the basket that night, and I remember this, Gary, that wasn't mentioned in the piece.
Game Time is just a terrific app. If you're looking for tickets, the Game Time app is a great way to get Celtics tickets. Also, not just Celtic tickets, but also for concerts and shows as well. Plus, they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It'll filter out all the fluff, and it'll give you incredible deals on great seats right away. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets and thousands of websites. And then don't forget, they have the super deal with the Game Time app. The super deal is the best deal on the board at that particular time, so you can always make sure you're on the lookout for that. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Why, it's game time.
That he was uncommonly active in the first period. Reggie was a floater, a glider. Reggie did things economically. Reggie wasn't a frenetic run around, like he's shutting all the windows in a thunderstorm kind of player. He was the opposite. that first period, he was uncommonly active, and it spooked me. It did. I said something. He's not the same tonight. And sure enough, at that one horrible moment when he collapsed, it just fell almost face. Well, yeah, he did. Fell just run up course. Suddenly, just stumbled and collapsed. And then there was that scene of the other 9 guys running the other way and letting Reggie on the floor. And I saw a look on his face that they quoted me in there as saying, that look on his face was, "What's happening to me?" And that was the beginning of the whole Reggie saga, right. Which of course in his death at Brandeis, after a controversial treatment or non-treatment of his condition, and then all the stuff with the controversial Dr. Mudge. They searched, he and his wife Donna searched till they found a doctor that told them what they wanted to hear. I think, Frank. I think we all believe that, and so that was, and then culminating the funeral. That was poignant, boy. The funeral. The streets of Boston were lined. The funeral was at Mathis Arena in Northeastern, his alma mater, and the streets were lined with people. And it was a brutal, hot summer day. It's really hot. Everybody will remember that much. But that I'll get off the box for a minute now. That's the Reggie thing for those of us in the
Bob,
world.
How good could he have
been? We
been?
loved Reggie.
How could we?
Good. Hall of Fame. He's heading for the Hall. He's going to be a second, not the Magic, Michael, Larry, LeBron level, but he's on that next level that I call the worthy level, the James and the McHale worthy level. And he's heading. He's building a resume that will. He's going to get better and better, and he's going to have a Hall of Fame resume. That's what Reggie Lewis was going to have. So,
one of the great chains, and there was. I just remember at that point in time, there was athletes became vulnerable. I mean, I remember Hank Gathers.
Oh, yes, very much.
Hank Gathers, who collapsed and died. And then with Reggie, I mean, wow. The whole thing is just so damn sad.
It was compounded. I mean, it wouldn't matter if he was a bad guy. That it would be horrible human story. But he was such a good guy. Reggie Lewis and he really was plugged into the community. Remember his Thanksgiving turkey giveaway,
right? Yeah,
and that Reggie was sincerely active in the community. And of course, we wound up having the track and field center named after him in Boston, the Reggie Lewis Center, which was very, very nice. But the thing is, it was local. He's from Baltimore, played on one of the greatest high school teams ever.
Right. He
was the 6th man on one of the handful of greatest high school teams in the history of America. Recruited by my old friend Carl Fogel for Jim Calhoun as a 6th man. And what a coup that was!
Oh, and right. Who were some of the names, Bob? That was the matter, right?
He had that incredible game as a freshman against Virginia Commonwealth, which they lost on a buzzer beater by Rolando Lamb. But he was like 15 for 17 from the floor. I mean it, in the first round NCAA game down in the Meadowlands. Oh, there was somebody. He was, best player in Northeastern history. We can't even go.
Yeah, Muggsy Bogues was on that high school team, wasn't he? Was it Muggsy?
Muggsy was a star, and I'm running out of. There were other one of the Jacksons, but anyway, there was a great team. And he was the 6th man.
I mean, if he was the 6th man, obviously.
So we got that, and then we get
NBA History Channel is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app. CLNS History is powered by Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.